Hi everyone. So here we are. This will be video 1 in my testimony series. If you haven't seen the video titled When God Says It's Time, I posted it earlier this week. Go have a look at that. It kind of gives you a little bit of a explanation on why it's taken me so long to post this, to make these. I've made them over and over and over again in my head. I might have had a few rough drafts already drawn, but just never posted them. Something like this is very private. It's very hard to bring back up, I guess. The further you get away from something, the easier it is to say, oh, yeah, that happened to me, and think in your head, it was so long ago. It doesn't hurt anymore, so we can forget about it. But God says it's time. And I'm very reluctant because I have experienced things on social media in the past. You know, not kind people who say, oh, you're doing that for attention. You just want attention. I don't want attention. I don't want pity. I'm definitely not here for money. My goal is to help somebody. Everyone knows someone or is someone who has been touched by this. And I hope that what I have to say will help somebody. So this will be a series. This is just the first video. I'm thinking it might be 3 videos because I want to try to keep them somewhat short. In this video, I'm just going to kind of give you I'm going to set the stage. I'm going to kind of wrap this all up in a little bow, as you will. Back in 2004, Todd and I lived in a little brown house. That's what we call it now, the brown house. It was a cute little 3-bedroom, 2-bath rancher. It was our very first home, a starter home. And we had Brandon, who was 3 at the time. He was going to be 4 that summer. And we had Carson, who wasn't even a year old. He was going to be a year old that spring in 2004. So we were pretty busy. We both worked full time. And yeah, so we were maintaining our home, maintaining our children, maintaining our family life. We were very active in our church. But, and Todd, you know, funny thing is, Todd always wanted just 2 children. He came from a family with 2 children, and I wanted 4, because I came from a family of 4 children. So, in my mind, we were going to compromise and have 3. And I would win, you know. I knew that I would win, and he knew I'd win too. He didn't care. So we decided, well, we loved this little house, but it served its purpose. We're going to sell it, and let's get something. Let's do something bigger. We want more space, more room. We had a growing family. You know, the boys were only going to get bigger. So we put our little house on the market, and if you've ever sold a house before, it is hard work because you have to try to maintain the cleanliness, and not that you don't want to keep your house clean anyway, I'm not saying that, but no clutter. You have to like minimize everything. So that was very, very, very trying for us because we had an infant, pretty much, who was learning to crawl, and a preschooler. So very challenging. Lucky for us, maybe not so lucky, the house sold like that for our asking price. And the family that bought it wanted to move in pretty quickly. And we had been looking at houses, we just couldn't find what we wanted. So we we did not settle. We decided to build. Now they were expanding the neighborhood that we lived in at the time, well, we do live in, and they had lots available. And so we picked out our lot, and we live on a very small cul-de-sac. It's quiet back here. We have great neighbors. We've always had great neighbors, even when we lived in our brown house. But yeah, we've just really hit the neighbor lottery. So we began to build our house. Now, if you've ever built a house, you know that it's never ready when they say it's going to be. It is a huge headache to build a house. So we had a house that we were selling that we needed to be out of quickly, and we had a house that we were building that was not going to be ready anywhere near when we were going to had to be out of our house. So we had to look for a place to live. I did not want to live with my parents for 6-8 months. Love you, Mom and Dad. But it just wouldn't have worked. Not with 2 kids. So we ended up renting a little apartment. Well, it wasn't that little. It was a 3-bedroom apartment, which was really good. And because it let us have a little bit of our space back. And they let us rent it month to month, which was very good because we knew at any moment we were going to have to turn in our notice, and so that we could move into our new home. So just an exciting time going on. Carson, was turning a year old, so I was planning his little birthday party, and he was crawling and all the new things, the first things that come with a new baby. We were just happy, excited, living life. Moved out of the house. We put a lot of our things in storage. Moved into our apartment. That summer, Brandon turned 4. We had a pool party for him. He learned how to ride his bike that summer in the parking lot of the apartments. Yeah, we were just, we were working hard, and like I said, I was working full time, but I was exhausted. I was slam exhausted, and I'm not talking about a normal exhausted. To me, it was normal because I really thought that it was because I had so much going on, because we were always checking up on the house. There was always something to be done to pick something out for the house, a phone call that needed to be made. It was almost like planning a wedding, but worse. And of course, things going on with the kids, and somebody needed to be picked up. This person needed to be taken to the doctor. Brandon was getting ready to start soccer practice. It was just, it was a windstorm of things going on. I chalked up my exhaustion to being a full-time mother, working full-time, and having too many irons in the fire. Then I started losing weight. And I don't lose weight easily. So when you start losing weight for no reason, I thought, well, I guess it's because I'm so active. I was running after 2 little ones. Shortly after Carson turned a year old, I think he was about 13 months old, he learned how to walk. So he started walking. He was in the apartment walking. And, it was just constant motion. So I was exhausted and losing weight unexplainedly. My physician had started me on a new medication. So I had went and asked her, do you lose weight? Is that one of the side effects on this medication? And she said, no, actually weight gain is something that people complain of. Why? And I said, well, I'm losing weight, but I haven't changed any habits. Like, I eat the way I've normally eaten all my life. And she said, well, just chalk it up as a good side effect for you and enjoy it, right? No real other side effects other than exhaustion. You're a young mother with 2 littles, right? So the summer went by. Our home was delayed month after month. We finally closed. Oh, in the meantime, the way our house was going to close, and when we needed to be out of the apartment and give our notice, I can't remember all the logistics, but it was going to overlap each other and be problematic, and So to combat that, we ended up having to move in with my parents for like 2 or 3 weeks. I can't recall exactly how many. So we had to move things out of the apartment, move some things into storage. So we had to rent another storage unit. We had things in the garage at my mom and dad's. Thank goodness the builder let us, which technically he didn't have to, but he did let us put a lot of our big furniture, like our bedroom furniture and things like that, in the garage here, and just not move it into the house until we took possession. But it was just chaos for probably a good month. And here I was, still losing weight, still sheer exhausted. Like, I was taking naps when the kids did. It was just, I can't explain the exhaustion. And then we finally, it was late at night and it was raining. It was a dark and stormy night. No, it wasn't stormy, but it was raining. We finally signed, took possession of the house, and started moving in. So it was in October of that year, of 2004. And it had been a long year. I'm not even gonna lie, but I was so excited. The house was a blank slate. I was gonna be able, everything I had picked out, like all the fixtures, and the kitchen was mine, and I was gonna be able to decorate it. I wanted to paint the rooms, the colors that I wanted them. I was so excited. Finally, we get into our space, and it was so big. So many possibilities. And we move in, and finally everything moved in, and I get sick. I mean, like, sick. Not just the exhaustion, but I got like a cough that it just wouldn't go away. And it wasn't a productive cough, but it was a cough that, it was a hacky cough. It was a very dry cough, but it hurt. And I thought at first that maybe it was bronchitis. I've had bronchitis before. When I was a little girl, I had pneumonia a couple of times. And back then they put you in the hospital and they put you under a croup tent. So, I'm thinking it's probably just some bronchitis going on. So I remember going to my doctor, and I was just so sick, and still going to work all this time too. And my doctor at that time had treated me basically since I was born. He was my doctor since I was born. And I remember sitting in the office, the room, and he walked in and he stopped and he looked at me and he said, "I have never seen you this sick." And for a physician that's treated you for over 3 decades, has seen you when you were a little girl sick with pneumonia, that's pretty telling, I think. Now, at the time, I was too sick. It just didn't faze me. I was so ill. So he said, I'm gonna, he checked me out. Didn't hear anything truly alarming in my chest, but there was something. So he put me on antibiotics, sent me for a chest x-ray. So I left there, went and got the chest x-ray. So he calls me back pretty quickly. He was such a wonderful doctor, not to get off topic, but he was such a wonderful doctor. He's retired now, and they just don't make them like him anymore. But anyways, he calls me and tells me, your lungs, the thing that's truly concerning, stay on the antibiotics, but the thing that's really concerning to me is that you have some swollen lymph nodes. Now, what's probably going on is the infection that you have is more than likely causing the lymph nodes. If you know anything about anatomy, you know when you get an infection, you get your swollen lymph nodes. That's why when you get a sore throat or you get strep throat, your lymph nodes in your neck get swollen. Okay, so makes sense, right? The lymph nodes in my chest were swollen because I had an infection in my chest. He says, stay on the antibiotics. I want to repeat the chest x-ray in a week and just make sure that the lymph nodes have returned, they're shrinking, they're going down. Then that's what should be happening. Okay, great. So I stay on the antibiotics. I'm still just sick. I come home every day, and I forgot to mention my husband's working full time, but he's working 12-hour swing shifts. So he would go to work, he doesn't do this anymore, but he would work 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for 3 days, and then he was off for 3 days, and then he'd go in and work 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And when I say 8 to 8, I really mean like 7 to 7. That's just the way it was. So yeah, there were days when it was just me with the kids and working full time, and juggling all of this. So I was sick, and I went and had the repeat, and it might have been 2 weeks. I can't remember. It was either 1 week or 2 weeks that I went back for the repeat. But he had told me if you aren't better, like significantly better, in just a few days, call the office back. So I did, and I was not better, and so he put me on a stronger antibiotic too. Went back for the chest x-ray, and there was no change at all. And he said that, there should be. I want to see you, and I want to listen to your lungs again. So I went in, like he got me in, I want to say same day. Listened to my lungs, checked me over. He said, I want you to go now. I'm calling the hospital now. I want you to go straight over and get a CT scan done. Okay, so I did. I left there, I went straight to the hospital. They mistakenly did it without contrast, which, knowing what I know now, yeah, I should have said something, but I didn't. So they did it without contrast. They should have done it with contrast. So the doctor called me back that night and said, I got the results, but they're wrong. They did it without contrast. We need it with contrast. Can you go first thing in the morning? I mean, these providers, they got me in like this. I cannot complain. So I did. I went back that morning before work, got it repeated with the contrast, and he called me back pretty quickly. And the news wasn't that great. And what he said, I was at work, and he said to me, and I work in the healthcare field, he said, so the CT scan results showed the lymph nodes are still swollen. And the radiologist says that it's indicative of one of two things. You either have sarcoidosis, which is a chronic illness, that's a lifelong chronic illness, or you have lymphoma, which is a cancer. And okay, so my first thought was, where do we go from here? And he says, I need you to see a specialist. And my sister is a nurse practitioner, and she works at a teaching hospital. It's one of the largest in our state. So, and the doctor is, he's always very open to consulting other physicians and sending us out when we need it. And so he said, why don't you ask Deborah, my sister, ask Deborah who you need to go to and see, and let us know, and we'll get it all set up for you. So I did. I hung up the phone, called my sister, talked with her, and she got me in with the head of pulmonology that Friday. Now, all of this, time was passing. So here we are, we're in December at this point. So I spent, Halloween, I went trick-or-treating with the kids and coughed the whole time. And I'm not lying when I say the cough was awful and it was just exhausting. And I would just wish that I could at least cough something up because it hurt. It just hurt so bad and nothing helped it, nothing. There was no nebulizer, no albuterol, nothing helped it. It just hurt. I couldn't laugh, I couldn't breathe deeply, I couldn't run, I couldn't exercise, I couldn't exert myself at all, or I would start into a coughing fit. It was awful. So here we are, we're in December, and it was mid-December, and she got me in with the pulmonologist, and so he looked at my records, and he said, well, yeah, what we need to do, and in the meantime, everybody's searching for different lymph nodes, all over my body, and there is nothing else swollen in my entire body, and they're trying to find other lymph nodes, nothing. So he says to me, he says, well, we're gonna have to do surgery. There's no way around it. We need a sample of these lymph nodes because we need to find out why they're swollen. We need to get to the bottom of this so we can figure out treatment. Okay, well, let's do it. So he explains to me, we're gonna have to go in. Hopefully we can get, I forget which technique he explained first. Okay, yeah, we'll do that. Okay, that's great. It's less invasive, blah, blah, blah. They came back in the office, and this was a Friday. This was December 18th. And he said, okay, we can schedule you for December the 21st, which was that Monday. Okay. We need to do this because we need to figure out what we're dealing with because we're talking months of being sick. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave this. So that's what we were facing. And I hate to do that to you, but I don't want these videos to get very long, and I promise that I will post part 2. Part 2, I will have the details of my surgery, how I found out the results, how we dealt with that, and I'll talk a little bit about my treatment and get more into that. And like I said, that will be a little more emotional and a little more in depth, and I'll have my box of tissues sitting with me. So I don't know. Maybe you won't want to too. I don't know. Maybe you won't. Maybe you don't care. But anyways, if you want to hear more, and I hope you do, leave me a comment below. Give me a thumbs up. Share out the video if you want other people to hear it, and make sure you're subscribed and you hit that bell so that you know when I do post the next one in this series. Keep being kind to each other, and we will talk soon. Bye.